Adequate notice of the November 14, 2024 meeting of the Township Committee has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice to the following newspapers: Morris County Daily Record, the Star Ledger, the Hanover Eagle, and by filing the same with the Township Clerk.
Roll call, Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca is excused this evening. Committeeman Francioli is also excused this evening. Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Mayor Gallagher.
Here.
3 members in attendance.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for our prayer with Deputy Mayor Mahalko. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, please watch over and guide this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding to help make the best decisions for our residents. Please bless our first responders and township volunteers who keep us all safe. Also bless our township employees and residents. Lastly, please let us pray for the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who stand vigil over us always. Amen.
Where's the Renzo for Rivers? Right there. Oh, it's in here. Okay, to begin tonight, we have a special 15-minute presentation by Chris, who's also on our Board of Education, and he's here representing the Environmental Commission. This environmental presentation will be on the impact of high-density residential development on the environment. Chris, please take the floor.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Matisich.
Where's the mic?
Can you hear me? Good?
Yes. Yep.
My name is Chris Matisich, and I'm the co-chair of the Hanover Township Green Team. And I've been on the Green Team since 2020, and one of the things that I volunteer for is to help ensure that Hanover Township is one of the best places to raise a family. That's my personal reason. And in growing up here myself, one of the greatest things about Hanover was having a natural environment that I was able to enjoy as a child. And one of the things that I'm intending on doing with this presentation is to give a voice to the things that don't have voices, which is our wildlife and the nature that is in our township that's being affected by recent developments and construction. So if we could go to the first slide, please. So the first thing I did when I asked myself the question, what is the best type of housing in terms of the environment, was I went to Google. And pretty much all the results on Google tell me that high-density housing is the best thing for the environment. Even the artificial intelligence overview on the right side said the same thing. It reduces sprawl, it decreases carbon emissions, improves air quality, has more sustainable transportation. But if you click to the next slide, please, in a survey done by the public tends to disagree. Public opinion actually cites that houses being built further apart are better for the environment than houses being built closer together. And my personal opinion tends to agree with that, because when you look around, we have an environment here in Hanover Township. I have a very large assortment of wildlife that appears on a regular basis in my own backyard. Every morning, things from flying squirrels to black bear can be seen there. If we go to the next slide, please. And this is obvious by looking at a satellite image. Where we are is that red outline there, that's Hanover, and there's a lot of green there. As you move into the areas of New Jersey that have higher density, it turns gray. That is just the distance that I'm trying to call out, where the high-density housing that exists in areas like Newark and Patterson and other city areas, there really isn't a natural environment. they've replaced everything with cement and steel. If we go to the next slide, please. One of the things I found in researching the negative effects of high-density housing was the heat island effect. So as humans exist, we produce heat as a byproduct of everything we do, from industry, from our jobs, from heating homes, running air conditioners, even the light bulbs in your house. Everything is heat as a waste byproduct. The closer people are together, the more that heat concentrates. And in humid areas like New Jersey, that effect is worsened. And there's an issue in the summers where city areas tend to get even hotter than surrounding areas on days where there's not a lot of wind, and that heat will build up and cause heat waves that put the lives of residents at risk. If we can go to the next slide, please. The second issue I found was habitat loss, and I went through a couple of resources and tried to list here all of the wildlife that is in our area, including endangered species listed on the right. And I could go through and name them all, but there were over 490 species just of birds and owls that are in our part of New Jersey. So as housing is put in replace of where we have natural woodlands, everything on here is put at risk. All of these fish, squirrels, birds, everything you see, it gets displaced. If it doesn't have somewhere else to go, it ends up going extinct in our native area. Let's go to the next slide, please. The next thing affected with habitat loss is also our tree coverage. In New Jersey, in forested areas, there are about 150 to 200 trees per acre naturally. And I did a breakdown here of New York City, and I showed the tree coverage in each of the boroughs. So Manhattan has only 5 trees per acre, Brooklyn and the Bronx have 30, Queens has 40, and Staten Island has 60 trees per acre, just to give you an idea of what the different types of buildup due to the tree coverage. The American Forest Conservation recommends 40 to 60% tree coverage for forested areas and 20% for natural grassy areas. I looked into Jersey City and found that they only have 10.9% coverage, which is only half of what they should have naturally. And when you have natural tree coverage, it helps evaporate water, which I'll get into in the next couple slides. Trees are also a natural carbon storage tank. So one thing I found was that there are a bunch of companies trying to do carbon capture devices, which I thought was an odd solution to the problem. That diagram on the bottom is basically a factory built to take carbon out of the air and then store it artificially. Nature has a solution for that. It's called a tree. Trees, they pull CO2 out of the air, they break it apart, they hold the carbon and use that to form their structure, and then they release the oxygen back into the air. When you burn fire in a fireplace, that stuff left over at the bottom, that charcoal, that's the pure carbon that they extracted from the air. Let's go to the next slide, please. One of the other issues that we're all getting very familiar with is flooding. For whatever reason, rain and thunderstorms have become way more intense in the recent years. They seem to open up huge amounts of water in only a 30-minute period, which is different from what I've experienced in the past couple decades in this area. These heavy storms are a bit more dangerous to us because they can dislodge things that are laying on the sides of roads, force them downstream and plug up storm drains, where a gentler, slower storm doesn't do that. I had this own thing happen on my street, which I'll show you in a future slide. ANJAC predicts a 20% increase in rainfall in New Jersey by the year 2100. Our stormwater systems need to be maintained and cleaned, and possibly even upgraded to account for this increased, I guess you call it high-intensity rainfall that we've been seeing. And a couple specifications I found here were that an inch of rainfall on a forested acre has only 750 gallons of runoff. However, an inch of rainfall on a parking lot has 27,000 gallons of runoff. All of that needs an outlet. If you pave everything around you, there's no outlet. That water has to go somewhere, and if it can't get into the earth, because you've paved everything, it's going to end up in people's basements. If you have people living in downstairs apartments, that's a threat of life for them. It's going to flood out our infrastructure. It's going to become a continual problem. And another fact I found was that every mature tree can store 50 to 100 gallons of water after every storm. So the less trees you have, the more flooding you're going to have. Let's go to the next slide, please. So these were some photos that I gathered off of social media after that huge storm we had in August. These two were from our town, Grove Street, where at the end of Grove is the stream that runs out from behind B Meadows School. That just completely overflowed and went up to the cross street on Grove. And then on Sunset Drive, I took that photo on the right there where that whirlpool is. So I was sitting in my kitchen and I looked outside during that storm. My wife screamed and said, the road's flooded. I said, no, it isn't. And I looked out and I said, okay, she wasn't exaggerating. And I knew that it wasn't that my whole area was underwater because my backyard was not flooded, and that's where that storm drain opens up behind Blackbrook Park. So I knew there was a clog somewhere. So I ran out and I fished a bunch of branches out of the water, and then that whirlpool formed, and the street drained within a minute. I just stood there and watched it. Within a minute, it was back down to normal water level. But that's what I'm talking about with the high-intensity rain, is it'll push sticks out of people's yards and down and jam them into those storm drains, and we don't have the manpower to go and observe every storm drain opening, every storm we have. So thought has to be put into this. We'll go through a couple more slides. Next one, please. These are just different photos from our surrounding towns from that same storm in August. A couple from Morristown. Next one, this shows Bergen County, where that bus is up to its headlights in water. And East Orange, cars are completely covered. Next one, please. Washington Street in Bloomfield, downtown Newark, completely underwater. Patterson, a couple pictures there. And then the next one is recommendations from the Green Team to the Township Committee. Stormwater management, as we've just gone through, if we need to do improvements on this, we should take a study of our 100-year flood maps and see if anything needs to be upgraded. For traffic, if we're increasing housing, we might want to look at how that's going to be affected and see if we can do anything to improve traffic and cut down on congestion and air pollution that causes. For mobility, if we're able to increase pedestrian movement, we might be able to reduce traffic and help people get around locally without the need for cars. From the planning perspective, if we're able to include neutral parties from environmental and wildlife conservancy groups into these housing plans at the early stage, it might help give a voice to the things that don't have a voice. We'll go to the next slide, please. Sewer and water supply. If we want to look into our sewer system and the water systems as population increases over time, those might need to get upgraded to avoid costly issues if we have overflows of our sewers into the natural environment. From the power grid, we want to consult JCP&L and PSC&G regarding charging infrastructure. I know that EVs seems to be a growing trend. I was told by someone on the Whippany Fire Department that if all Hanover residents arrived home from work and plugged in their EVs at the same time, we would have blackouts. We don't have the power to supply everyone with cars currently. Our entire transportation grid doesn't have the ability to be converted into electric at this point in time. Adding that amount of power to the power grid is a very large demand. I don't know, that's way above my pay grade, but that needs to be taken into account. Air traffic pollution, we should consult with the Morristown Airport regarding the use of small planes and also the increased number of jets that are flying. And I know that that's not something that's directly affected by the local population, but still from an environmental perspective, I recently learned that those small planes actually burn leaded fuel. We banned leaded fuel in vehicles, road vehicles, decades ago because of the environmental concerns, but we still allow it to be used in small propeller airplanes. And the last thing is the tree ordinance. The Green Team recommends that the tree ordinance be used in full effect and that no exceptions are granted when housing is put in or really any development is put in. And we also prefer that when money is donated into the tree ordinance, if that could be used to actually plant trees and not used for other purposes. That's the end of the presentation, and if there is time, I'll gladly accept questions.
Does anybody from the governing body have any questions for Chris?
No, it's pretty interesting. And the points that you bring up, the facts that you bring up, really needs to get to the state, because a lot of what we do is being mandated by the state, especially when it comes to the high density. The question is, how do we get them to listen?
Yeah, I don't intend to come here and say I have the full facts or the answers or know anything for sure. My intention is to open the door to the conversation and say, hey, are we missing out on these things in this discussion? This should be looked at. These are concerns. In terms of getting it to the state, that's the next step. I don't have the answer for that, but I'm sure more people are concerned about this than just myself.
No, absolutely. We hear it constantly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you very much. Good work.
Thank you.
Krista?
Okay. Good evening. Now we'll begin with the agenda items. The first is the approval of the Township Committee meeting minutes of October 10th, 2024, and October 24th, 2024. May I please have a motion to approve?
Motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Next on the agenda, we have 4 ordinances for introduction. I'd like to read each one into the record. The first is ordinance number 28-2024, an ordinance of the Township of Hanover, Morris County, New Jersey, amending Chapter 220 of the Township Code entitled Retail Establishment Hours of Operation in order to amend certain definitions and exemptions from the chapter provisions. Ordinance number 29-2024, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending and supplementing Articles 1, 2, and 4 under Chapter 137 of the Code of the Township entitled Fire Prevention. Ordinance number 30-2024, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover to amend Chapter 250 of the Municipal Code, Taxi Cabs and Limousines, to revise to supplement the terms and conditions therein to conform with updates to state regulations. Ordinance number 31-2024, an ordinance of the Township of Hanover, Morris County, New Jersey, amending Chapter 166 of the Township Code entitled Land Use and Development in order to amend certain regulations for parking and loading spaces and areas. Ordinance 28, 29, 30, and 31, and the notices of introduction will be published in full in the Daily Record in accordance with law. The public hearing is scheduled for December 12, 2024, and if any member of the public would like to speak regarding any of those ordinances, they will be given the opportunity to do so that evening. May I please have a motion to introduce ordinance 28, 2024, 29, 2024, 30, 2024, and 31, 2024.
So moved?
Second?
Roll call, Committeeman Cahill.
Aye.
Committeeman Mahalka.
Yes.
And Mayor Gallagher.
Aye.
So introduced. The next order of business is the approval of resolution numbers 180-2024 through 198-2024 as a consent agenda. Does any member of the Township Committee have any questions regarding these items or any comments that they would like to make regarding any of these items?
Krista, I have a comment
Sure.
on
Which order?
193-2024. This is a very big step in what we began here in Hanover Township about 2.5 years ago. We created the Whippany-Passaic Flood Remediation Task Force, which is about to turn into the Whippany-Passaic Flood Remediation Strike Force. We identified that we had to do something different as it relates to flooding. We spoke with Collier's Engineering. We got together in this room with 5 surrounding municipalities, our municipal engineers, and quite a few professionals. We looked at our rivers from Morristown down to 280 in East Hanover, Chatham, Pastor Villas in East Hanover. we identified 3 problems. Desnagging, which is trees that are laying in the water that haven't been removed in a very, very long time. We looked at bank reestablishment, and we looked at the depth of the river, where the rivers used to be 4 to 5 feet deep. Now they're like 11 inches deep. Therefore, the water goes over the banks, the trees fall into the water, and the water has to find a place to go, which creates quite a bit of flooding for our residents and quite a bit of flooding for our businesses, and under no circumstances should a short rainfall make us have to close Route 10. So what we discovered in dealing with the USDA and an incredible partner with Mikey Sheller's office, and Chris Williams is here, Chief of Staff tonight. Chris, thank you very much for sitting with us for 2.5 years and coming across with some very, very serious funding for this initiative. We put a helicopter in the sky with a $2.1 million camera on the nose. We have incredible footage, incredible surveys, and specific areas that need to be addressed first. Cleanups are very nice, and it's very important for our scouts to get in there and do a cleanup. But what we have to do is 50 to 60 years of neglect and clean them as fast as we can so the water can flow. My joke is in New Jersey, the water doesn't flow, it overflows. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to award a company for the first leg of this initiative to go in and desnag the 6 worst spots that we identified between here and 280 in East Hanover. From there, we have much, much more funding because of where the bid is and the cooperation we've had with our Congresswoman's office to go to many, many more sites. So for instance, in East Hanover, Brentwood Drive, between Columbia Turnpike and Great Meadow Lane, there's 22 trees down in one spot. That water has to go somewhere. It's going into backyards. So it's just like health when you're an adult. Fortunately, when you're an adult, you have to eat a little healthier, you have to exercise a little bit, because you have to take care of your body. Well, you have to take care of your streams as you have to take care of your home, your body, and your vehicle. New Jersey has largely neglected these waterways. And when it goes into politics, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Chris, I've said if you want to blame flooding on global warming or high-density housing, go ahead, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you can't neglect streams for 50 to 60 years and rivers and major waterways for 50 to 60 years and expect them to function properly. So this is the first big step of going in there and making it so our water can flow. We can reestablish our banks so the material doesn't continue to go in and make our rivers even shallower, which will encourage them to overflow the banks even more. And we have quite a bit more money to make this a lot better. And again, it's a 1 to 3 year project and then 3 to 5 year project. And we are right now the model in New Jersey. They've asked us to speak in different places of New Jersey. And I said, not until we get the machinery in the water. Because once the machinery is in the water, this is real. Until then, it's talk. And to me, talk is cheap. So I think we're ready to go. And the last point is the dedication of our 6 municipalities, East Hanover, Florham Park, Parsippany, Morris Plains, and Morristown. Florham Park has been incredible. And now we even have scheduled meetings with the USDA every Friday at 3:30. And this is going to continue until this is much, much better. And now we have federal money, we're going after county money and state money, and the municipalities are now chipping in because we have to do now what has been neglected for at least 50 or 60 years that we know about. So that's my long, long comment, but I'm very proud to be part of this, and I'm very proud to say that Hanover Township is the chief agency in this. And Chris Williams, thank you very much, and please thank our Congresswoman. That's it, Krista. Thank you for the time.
Mayor. Gentlemen, do you have anything? Okay, may I have a motion then to approve the resolutions as a consent agenda?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions are so approved. Now we have to pay our bills in the amount of $9,856,354.57. May I have a motion to pay the bills?
Pay the bills.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bills will be paid. Lastly, we have raffle applications, RL 3456, RL 3457, RL 3458, and RL 3459. May I have a motion to approve the raffle applications?
Make a motion?
May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Mayor Gallagher and the members of the committee, that clears the agenda, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Krista, great job.
No worries.
Okay, can I have a motion open to the public?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if anyone from the public would like to address the governing body, please take the podium, state your name, address, and you have 4 minutes.
Hi, Andy Dutton, editor of the Morris News Beat. And Hanover Eagle, just a quick question. I was looking at 193. It says you're rejecting the apparent lowest competitive bid due to a math error, which would imply that you're going to accept a revised bid
It's on the
in the amount not to exceed $94,150. Can you discuss or describe what that math error was?
Joe, can you take that?
It was a math error in the computation for the work that was to be done by the apparent low bidder, and because of that mathematical error, the low bid is disqualified, and it goes to the second apparent lowest responsive bidder, which is Downs Tree Service.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Dean Atkinson, Cedar Knolls. My question is for engineering. Is there any movement on the contract with the speed humps for Mountain Ave?
Yes, there is. We met, we had a
Oops.
construction meeting with the contractor.
Jerry. Jerry, hit your button.
Sure, take the punch.
Yes, we did meet with the contractor last Thursday for a pre-construction meeting with ourselves and Colliers, the design engineer. They anticipate starting work maybe the last week of November, first week of December. At that point, we will be meeting with any residents who have any concerns with the locations of the speed humps.
Okay. So will you be emailing or how?
Yes, I gave our consultant engineer the locations that we have. I know of some concerns that residents have expressed, yourself being one of them, and that we will be reaching out and having a discussion
Okay.
with them. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none? Hearing none? Motion to close?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Would anyone from the governing body like to make a few comments? Brian?
Thank you. Just a couple of things, a couple of items on the, well, first of all, before I start that, I want to congratulate John Farrar-Mosco. He's going to continue to join us on this committee, which is great news. And I also want to thank Krista. I know you work really hard, and you do every election, and most of the time we forget and don't thank you, so I made it a point. Thank you very much. Great job as always.
Great job, Krista. Thank you.
Moving on, there was a few items in the agenda tonight that I just wanted to elaborate on. One is good news as far as I'm concerned. We voted to bring on 3 more additional police officers. One of those officers is going to be a replacement for a retiring Captain White, but the other 2 are going to augment our traffic division, which right now consists of 1 sergeant. The plan has always been to add 2 more officers. The plan for this year was to add 1 more, but as fate would have it, we had a particularly good candidate in the academy, and the chief approached myself and the committee and suggested that perhaps we should jump on this and get this gentleman hired as well. So what that's going to mean is, starting in approximately, if all goes well, approximately in August of next year, we will have 2 officers assigned strictly to traffic duty. So that means answering accident calls, but also traffic enforcement, which of course, we spend a lot of time discussing and dealing with and hearing from the public about the traffic safety issues in this town, just because there is a lot of traffic. So I just think that that's great news, and I think I'm really looking forward to seeing that happen. So congratulations to those gentlemen. I can't wait to meet them and see them come on board. Another item on the agenda was the fire prevention ordinance, and basically there was a lot of things that were changed in that, but really primarily what that does now is it allows our 2 fire districts, District 2 and District 3, to actually write summonses for excessive false alarms and also to collect fines for excessive false alarms. That's been something that we've always wanted to do. They've relied on the township to do it, but it's just with all the other things that we have going on, it didn't take the same priority. So what we did was modify the resolution so that they can, like I said, issue summonses and collect fines themselves. So that's the gist of that one. Also, just speaking of the fire districts, in October, I don't have the specific dates, but at the Fire Commission meetings, each District 2 Fire Commission and District 3 Fire Commission signed and adopted and voted on a resolution to dissolve Fire District 2 and Fire District 3 in order to create a Hanover Township Fire District 1. Basically what that means is, so the 2 districts and 2 fire commissions, if all goes well down the road, there'll be 1 fire commission, it'll be 1 district, and it'll hopefully lead to more efficiencies and cost savings. This is just a step. At any point down the road, this might not happen, so just be aware of that. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered, a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and a lot of things that need to be agreed upon between the 2 districts. But it's probably the most meaningful step that the districts have taken in the years that we've been talking about this. So stay tuned for that as well. And then lastly, just this past Sunday, the Hanover Heritage Association had a general meeting here in Town Hall where they invited guests to come in and see exhibits and talk to the members of that association. I was out of town and couldn't make it, but I understand that there was up to 40 guests that came and visited. The Hanover Historic Association is a 501c, which gives them the ability to accept donations, where the Landmark Commission cannot legally accept donations. So this is a great step. This organization is going to try, their primary goal is to raise money for the Tuttle House, so that can be restored, and their plan is that one day that'll actually be a historic museum for Hanover Township. And that's my report.
Thank you, Brian. Mike?
All right, thank you, Mayor. So since Ron and John aren't here, do I get their time?
No, we always got to talk about the river remediation, you can, yes.
So that's okay.
Yeah, you used your 4 minutes, Ace.
We always have a lot going on with recreation, and I do have a little bit of report from John also. But first, I want to thank Recreation and DPW. We had a terrific masquerade at Malapartis this year. The weather was phenomenal, probably one of our best ever. Probably several thousand people showed up for the couple-hour event, kids dressed in costumes, adults dressed in costumes. It was a really fun event. So again, I want to thank those departments for helping out. We're rolling into the winter season, so all of our programs are opening up. Basketball, wrestling, ski club, all of those still have availability if you are of the ages, and most of those go through 3rd grade through 8th grade, 5th and 6th grade. Yeah, pretty much 4th through 8th you can take advantage of those clubs. So if you're interested, check them out. They're for the up to 8th grade. Couple dates to make note of. We have the volunteer recreation reception coming up. That is next Thursday, the 21st. That's really a thank you to all of our volunteers in town. It's a fun event. It's a cocktail hour type of thing. Goes from 6:30 to 9, and it's really again a good thank you to the residents and all those people that donate so many times, so much hours. A good thank you to them. So again, mark your calendar. A couple events that are coming up also are Winter Wonderland. December 14th, that will be here at the Rec Center, at the Community Center, from 6 to 8 o'clock. Hot chocolate, snacks, and Santa, of course. He comes too. Comes on one of the fire trucks. This year we're going to add something new to our agenda. We have Hanukkah Hoopla. We're going to have a Hanukkah event Sunday, December 29th from 3 to 5 o'clock at the Community Center. Again, there'll be snacks, there'll be games. Come on out and enjoy that with us. A few bus trips that are coming up. Radio City Music Hall, Saturday, December 7th. I think we still have a couple spots left, but you better check it out soon. It was selling quick. Also, White Christmas at the Paper Mill Playhouse on December 19th. I think there was 1 or 2 spots left for that one also. That's also a dinner and a show. We provide the buses, we meet here at the community center, we head on over and bring you right back. A couple things I want to point out, and this is one of the overlapping that Ron and I have. Senior Citizen Club. This year, we switched from, we rolled senior citizens under the recreation umbrella, and there was some question on how it would turn out. Well, we had 342 members, 124 new ones. That's almost, not quite double what the regular senior citizen had. They had just under 200. So it's been a huge success, in my opinion. There is something for the seniors going on almost every Wednesday, in addition to all of the other events that they put on. Recreation has really jumped in. Sierra, one of our recreation people, heads it up, and they have activities, trips, even just coming and watching a movie, playing some cards. Wednesdays are penciled in for seniors, so if you're of that age, come on out. And there's always something to do, again, especially on the Wednesdays. Check out the website. There's too many things for me to list. You guys would kill me. We've got so much stuff going on. I do also want to report, we had our season-ending B-Meadow pool summation. Silvio Esposito, our CFO, and the pool manager, Eddie Cashin, came to the recreation on Tuesday. Again, one of our best years ever. It was really a phenomenal summer. The weather was really good. Very few rainouts, and we had one of the highest attendance levels that we've had in recent history. In addition to that, I was just informed that we'll be going out to bid next week. Hopefully, it'll hit the papers by next week for the splash pad. We've been talking about it for a while, so we are going out to bid. Hopefully, that will be in place and ready to go by the season, but if not, by mid-season at the latest, we'll have it going. But it's a really beautiful project, ADA accessible, and it's not just for kids. You know, everybody thinks, oh, it's a splash pad, it's just for kids. No, it's designed for adults, seniors, in addition to children too. So that's going out to bid next week. So hopefully we'll get that awarded in December and shovel in the ground shortly thereafter, God willing. Just one more final note. Our facilities are starting to wind down, and by that, the field permits, they're ending at the end of November. Water gets shut off November 21st. And then our playgrounds and our parks, they technically they're called closed. That doesn't mean you can't go there. But the facilities are shut down. There'll be no bathrooms open. You know, any toys or equipment that needs to be brought in will be brought in. You can still go walk in our parks, you can still, go on a swing set, but just know that the parks are closed. I did have one note from Ron. He wanted me to let everybody know about the gardens. We have our town garden. We have 89 plots. They were all sold this year, and by 60 gardeners. He also wanted us to know 7 of those plots were vegetables for the Interfaith Food Pantry, and let us know that they provided over 600 pounds of fresh food were donated to the Interfaith Food Pantry. I believe next year we're looking to increase the size, and keep an ear out. We'll let you know when the sign up is, usually early spring, if you want to get one of those gardening areas. So that's it.
Beautiful. Great work, Mike. Thank you very much. Before we adjourn, I'd just like to say, Brian, thank you very much for your great work with working with our public safety departments. I just want to tell you a little bit of history about Brian and I. We created the School and Park Traffic Safety Advisory Committee. Retired Deputy Chief Steve Balkar sat with us our second meeting, I believe, and told us that we need to create a traffic unit. We looked at him like not sure what he was talking about, but he went through all the complaints that we get in town with speeding and all the distracted driving and all the issues around our schools and parks. So here we are creating that unit. Hanover Township PD is creating that unit. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful day for quality of life in Hanover Township. We have an incredible police department, and they're getting bigger and their service is incredible. And I always say, my only judge on a police department is if I feel safe and my family feels safe. And I learned when I was young that the only thing in life that's omnipresent is God, but it feels pretty good when you look to your left and you look to your right and you see the police, and it makes you feel very, very safe. And I think that's as close as we can get to omnipresent, and that's one of our goals, and we have a very good presence in Hanover Township. So thank you very much, and God bless you guys. And Brian, great work. That being said,
Mayor,
yes, sir.
may I just give a short update on affordable housing like you asked?
Please do, Fred.
That's all right. I don't want to upset Bill Byrne. It'll be quick. But no,
I'll keep an eye on Bill Byrne.
Mayor, you
for
had asked for an update, and I just wanted to let everyone know that the township has been one of the parties, one of the municipalities, and there's about 15 now, that's part of a lawsuit led by Montvale Township to challenge the new affordable housing regulations. And it's been made clear that the challenge was because some municipalities do not have to comply with the regulations, and others, such as Hanover Township, do. So that was the position of the township, to support and join that litigation so that perhaps it wouldn't shoulder the responsibility for other communities. And as Mayor Gallagher has said, it's not about affordable housing that's the concern. It's about the fact that it comes with 4 additional units of development, of market units, really every time you have one affordable housing unit. So it's about high-density development. That's the concern. It dovetails the helpful and informative information by the Environmental Commission tonight. So I just wanted to also give an update on that case and indicate that with the fact that certain numbers have been promulgated by the DCA to all municipalities, the group that filed the lawsuit has asked the court down in Mercer County, because you have to file in Trenton when it's something that deals with state law, to please put aside the compliance aspect of the 4th round rules until our case is decided. That it's a very time-consuming and cost type of a cost endeavor. So on December 20th, there'll be a hearing in Trenton to determine whether or not the housing process right now for the 4th round will proceed, or if it'll be stayed until this litigation is heard. So that'll be December 20th, Mayor. And that's the update as far as affordable housing.
So Fred, just prior to tonight's meeting, I got a phone call, and we are up to 27 municipalities in the challenge to the
Okay.
4th round.
That's
A
great.
great report, and thank you
Okay.
very much. And if it's
Thank
okay with you, when warranted, we're going to go back to having our monthly reports on where we are with this challenge.
Yeah, I know you'd asked for that, so yes, I'll be prepared.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else, guys?
I think that's it.
Motion?
Motion to close.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
14?
No, we're good. Pretty good. We're good.
Yeah.